everyone. We can start, right, Rachel, or are we waiting for more people?
Go for it. And I just started the recording as well.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know I was being recorded. I have to be more careful now. Anyways, so welcome everyone. Sorry for rambling about physics a bit, but we all love physics. We can't help it. We will be going over the homework, which is mostly about vectors and complex numbers. So let me share my screen. I'll share my whole screen so that I can switch between windows. So right, it opened the right window for some reason. Okay, cool. So I'm assuming that most of you have been to your labs and you already know what vectors are. If you don't know, we will go over them very quickly if required. But let's just look at some of the problems. So problem one is vector operations. Let me actually quickly just say something about vectors. Otherwise, I kind of feel that like something is not complete. By the way, why are we studying it? We are studying it, at least in this course, is because any state you represent in quantum mechanics, and in your case, it will be information. In other cases, it can be something else. And basically, in any engineering or mathematics, you will have like vectors. But in our course, a vector is a state. Basically, in your case, it will be some information. And that information is a vector with complex coefficients. So you have both these things, So if you recall one of your lectures, again, if you don't recall it or don't understand it, it's fine. But if you recall it, I'm just trying to connect it to your lecture where you studied something like this, right? That this is your qubit. So now here, 0 and 1 are vectors and alpha and beta are complex numbers. So, if you want to work with qubit, you have to work with vectors and complex numbers. So that's why we are spending Friday evening here. Okay, and very quickly, what are scalars and vectors? So if you want to talk about quantities, right? Since the early time humans have evolved, somebody had a lot of sheep, let's say, but he was hungry. He wanted, let's say, some bread. He would go to somebody. He's like, I have, this many sheep. How much bread can you give me? So this idea of quantity has, helped in human civilization, and maybe even animals, can talk about quantities. So one type of quantities are called scalars. So these are basically one number. You give somebody one number, they will immediately know what you are talking about. So one example is speed. If you say that your car is moving at 50 miles an hour, that's an example of scalar quantity. If you want to, brag to your friend, go and tell him that, oh, my house is bigger than your house. Then you can tell him, how much area your house is or how high your house is. So area, scalar quantity. Height, scalar quantity. If you are drinking coffee, and you want to say my coffee is hotter than yours, then temperature, scalar quantity. So why? Because these all can be expressed in one number. You give one number, people know what you are talking about. Now, are these the only kind of quantities? So let's look at this example, right? Like if you have got cars and you can see that these two cars are moving in different directions, right? One is moving this way, one is moving that way. And so they both can be moving at 50 miles an hour. They can both have the same speed, but they have different direction. So you need more than one number. So once you need more than one number, then basically your quantity is generally a vector, and the way you represent it is in a list. You will write down certain quantities here, and those quantities can be anything. In our case, they are mostly x and y coordinates, but they can be anything. I'm just telling you in advance so that when you see something, you don't freak out. Like in humanities, you can write like, let's say you are doing a psychological study, then how fast someone solves a problem and how correctly someone solves a problem. That can also define a vector. Basically, like the moral of the story is, if you have more than one number or more information than a scalar, then your quantities are called vectors. Okay, that's cool. So let's look at the problems now. So I just defined vectors and we'll look at how to do operations with them. Right, so first problem is about addition and addition of vectors. So I mean, both of them are fairly straightforward, but let's just do problem A, let's say. So this is problem 1A in your homework 3. So here we are given 2 times 3 comma 1 minus 5 comma 6. So 2 times 3 1 minus 5 6. Now I must also say this, since all of you are here, when you see new things, it's like, riding a new bicycle. You feel uncomfortable and unfamiliar, but once you become like familiar with it, it will be just, like part of your body. So another thing which I would like to recommend is that sometimes some of us like to think too deeply, and I use too in, real English sense, that you think so much that you shouldn't. So sometimes it's, you just look at the rule, apply the rule, maybe use some memorization as well. Once you develop enough practice, you will understand the logic behind it. So yeah, and the key is to not lose patience and not lose hope, and just be confident, and eventually it will all be fine. Okay, so that was just pep talk. But anyway, so you want to do this. So first rule, so I will just tell you some general rules on how to do this. So if we have a scalar, so this is one number, right? Remember, so we learn by speaking, listening, and writing. So I hope all of you have a notebook so that you are writing and you are listening to me. What I also recommend, and older kids, as kids get older, they don't do it, but I find it useful and I still do it, that when you speak, so when I ask you to shout, I hope that if you're not disturbing someone in your rooms, please say it with me. So one numbers are, you all shout, scalar. So one numbers are scalar. So these scalar numbers, when they multiply a vector, what happens? So let's say A is a scalar, and I have a vector here, which is, let's denote it by capital A, A1, A2.
Rahul, can you slow down just a smidge?
Sure. Oh, in my speech or in the content I'm going across?
You're speaking.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I'll do that. So one number is a scalar, right? All of you say one number is a scalar. So when you multiply, so first thing we are learning here is multiply scalar with a vector. So this is the first thing you are learning here. So let's call A as our scalar, and if it multiplies a vector which is denoted as A1 and A2, so the result will be A times A1 and A times A2. So you can understand it as well, or for now you can just take it as a rule and you can think about it and you can get it. If we get time, I can show you that how this works exactly. But for now, just remember this rule, that when you multiply a scalar with a vector, the scalar goes in and multiplies each component of the vector. Okay, that's good. So okay, so first step, so 2 goes in and multiplies both of them. So 2 3s are, you all say at home, 6. 2 1 is, 2 times 1 is, you all know, speak at home, 2, and solve it with me. Then minus the other vector, which is just 5 6. Okay, so we have done this part. Now another rule, let me tell you. So if you are adding or subtracting two vectors, so the rule for this again is very simple. Let's say you have two vectors A1, A2, and then no matter what you're doing, you can be doing plus, you can be doing minus, and you have another vector B1, B2. And remember, more than one number is vector. So then the rule is given as, again, this can be justified in a coordinate system, and I encourage you all to go at home, plot these things in X and Y coordinates, and see that this works. But for our purposes, for solving all the homework problems, and just to get started, this is enough. So just remember this. As I said, memorization helps. So don't feel bad about, that, oh, I just memorized it. Once you become familiar, as I said, like riding a bike, you will understand it. Okay, so we apply this rule now. And what were our numbers? Let's check. The numbers were 6, 2, 5, 6. So let's write them down. 6, 2 minus 5, 6. Okay, then we just look here. And by the way, this is plus and minus. So if you're doing plus, you do plus. If you're doing minus, you do minus. So here we are doing minus. So according to this rule, as I said, don't think too much about it. Just apply this rule. So this can be written as 6 minus 5, 2 minus 6. And what is this? All of you, be active. Don't sleep. So 6 minus 5 is, you all shout, 1.
1.
Yeah, I mean, not here. I mean, I hope your audio is muted. We'll ask for questions later. Then 2 minus 6 is, all of you shout at home, 1 and minus 4. So this is how we solve the kind of problems like this. So let me just give you a general formula for these kind of problems. So general formula. So general formula, let's say I have some scalar. Remember, scalar is just one number. And I have a vector. And then I have either plus or minus. I don't know. It can be anything based on your problem. And then I have some other scalar. I don't need to write 1 here because scalar is just one number. And then you can have any other vectors here, no matter how many. You can, oh, my pen is not working for some reason. Okay, so sorry for technical issues. Okay, I think it's fine. So then this is equal to, so if you have any number of these things, so what you do is that, as I said, the multiplication rule is you take it in, you multiply it with all the components. So the final answer will look like A times A1 plus minus B times B1 plus minus whatever you have. It can be multiple vectors, but what you do, you take it inside, step 1, multiply it, and then step 2, do whatever you are asked to do, but just keep the top part with the top part and the bottom part with the bottom part. So, right, so this will help you solve problem 1. Any questions on sum and difference of vectors? I will entertain only those questions. We'll go to others, and if you have questions for others, then we will do, magnitude and direction we'll do later. Any questions on sum and difference of vectors or multiplying vector with a scalar? So I'll look at the chat, or if you raise your hand, I guess Rachel can let you speak. Board question, yes. If you guys want board question, we'll do board question. Anyone wants to say something? I'll wait. I'll just check if anybody has raised hands. Can I do it while I'm screen sharing? I'm not sure.
No one has raised their hand, so
okay, cool.
I think we're good.
Can you do B in question 1? My point is, my friend, that if I solve all of them, then you don't need to. But let me do B. Let me do B. So this one, right? Okay, let's do B quickly. By quickly, I mean like this formula, so you can solve anything now. You have the power, like He-Man had the power. Okay. Problem B, 4 times 1 comma 0 plus 3 times 0 comma 1. Okay, so 4 times 1 comma 0, I hope I'm copying it down correctly, plus 3 times 0 comma 1. So just use this expression, just use this, bring each of the scalars in, then just use plus or minus whatever is given, just keep top parts with top parts, bottom parts with bottom parts. So I'm dumping it down a bit, but that will work, that will work for all this homework. So, okay, so equals, bring it in first. That's what I said, right? So take it in. So 4 times 1, all of you shout at home, 4, and then 4 times 0, 0. Then plus, or as I said, if you just want to apply the formula and do one more step. So then we are doing plus or minus, we are doing plus. So we'll write plus, and then 3 times 0. 3 times 0 is 0. And then 3 times 1 is 3. And since we are doing plus, we write plus on both of them. The final answer is 4 and 3. Okay? I mean, yeah, I can write any number of them after them, and it's you just keep doing, bringing them in and adding or subtracting whatever is asked. And yeah, just write down top part in top part, bottom part in bottom part, and you will be okay. Okay, couple of more chats. Can you do number 3, magnitude? Yes, I will do it. Have patience. Okay, cool. So let's do vector and magnitude. Okay, cool. So I hope all of you are experts in adding and subtracting. No one asked any question. That means all of you are experts now. Good. So vector, magnitude, and direction. So here I would again just like to tell you that we invent a lot of terminology, a lot of different names for things. All this is your first lab or your trigonometric review session, which was in first week, I guess, or second week. This is all Cartesian to polar conversion. If you remember that part, then you can solve any of these problems and you can do any of the complex problems. Okay. So the key part to remember here is the coordinate conversions and the concepts discussed there. They have all different names. They come as vector magnitude. In the next section, you will see that the same thing will be called modulus and the direction will be called phase. So, you know, like we get into a lot of Greek and Latin, but the fundamental mathematics is the same. And how, I'll just show you. Okay. Okay, so let us do vector magnitude and direction. So rather than doing these ones again, let me start by a general formula, right? So let us say we have a vector. So this time let me call it A and B, or X and Y, let's say. So I have a vector X and Y. Or maybe since not to confuse you, let's just do A and B. So let's say I have a vector A and B. This is a vector, right? Remember my definition? Vector, more than one number. So I have more than one number, A and B. And if nothing is specified, then if you did your labs, you know that the basis here is basically A denotes X coordinate and B denotes Y coordinate. The top part denotes X, the bottom part denotes Y. Okay, so we have learned how to plot these things. So the way we do it is X coordinate is A, means you travel A units in X. And then B coordinate is Y, that means you travel B units in Y. And finally you reach this point. Now this from origin to this point is your vector. Let's call it V. So this is our vector V. Now, important point about vectors is that they need not always be at origin. You know, if I can draw the same, you know, A units here and B units here, this is also my vector V. So what defines a vector when you plot it is the head of the arrow and the tail of the arrow. What defines it? You all say, repeat after me, what defines it? Head of the arrow and tail of the arrow. Okay, so once you have head and tail, then you have a vector. Okay, cool. So we have a vector. And the question asks, what is the magnitude of this vector? So again, these are all English words, maybe, you know, but magnitude, modulus, norm, length, you know, like all these things essentially mean the same thing in context of vectors. So don't be fooled by, you know, all this Greek and Latin and terminology. What this means is what is the size of your vector? Let me also add size. So what is the length of your vector? So for that, you don't actually need me. You need your 2,800-year-old friend Pythagoras. And if I'm not wrong, it's probably still taught in middle school, I guess. So I think he lived 800 BC. So okay, I can hear some voice, Rachel. I wonder if it's, anyways.
I muted it.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, so recall Pythagoras, and you know, as I said, there is nothing fancy going on here. So what is this? This is a right angle triangle, right? This is a right angle triangle. You know two sides of it, and I'm asking you what is the size of this side, which is my magnitude. So this is denoted as this. If you know these two guys, again, I don't need to tell you, all of you probably know this guy and you can write it. So this is, you all do it at home with me, square root of a squared plus b squared. That's it. There is nothing special, nothing going on. Middle school algebra or geometry, whatever you want to call it, Pythagoras theorem, that is the magnitude. Okay? Now let us look at direction. Direction can be tricky, I understand. So, but again, if you did your polar conversions, you should be okay. So magnitude is covered. Let's look at direction. Okay, so let me draw the same vector again. A units here, B units here. This is my vector B. Now, this direction is determined. Oh, I think I flipped X and Y. Sorry. This is X, this is Y. So the angle from X-axis measured anti-clockwise is our angle. And this is just a convention. Somebody said measure stuff anti-clockwise. And everyone did that. So that's a convention. You want to determine this angle. And again, you did that in previous classes. So I will just write it down. The way you define it is if your coordinates are known and the coordinates are a comma b, because that's how you plot a vector, then tan theta, what will be tan theta here? Tan theta will be sine theta over cosine theta. And just to remind you again, sine theta and cosine theta, how they were defined? Recall Corbin and trigonometric review and wherever you did your lab. X and Y on a unit circle tell you the cosine theta and sine theta. So now we are not on a unit circle, right? But angles, if you remember, angles don't depend on length. If I extend this guy, the angle is still going to be the same. So in any case, again, as I said, understanding is the second step. Solving problems, becoming familiar with them can be done by a little bit of memorization as well. So I will just, just not ask you to stress too much. Sine theta over cos theta, which will be, in this case, b over a. So then theta can be tan inverse b over a. Now, a lot of you posted on Piazza that, you were not getting this correct answer by putting it in calculator. What I would advise you is that there are some detailed answer on Piazza, and this is a topic for this week's lab as well. So if you look at the recording of the lab, or if you do your own lab, then they would discuss this in detail, that why a calculator does not give you the correct answer all the time, and what can you do to get the correct answer. If there are doubts, I will take them, but let me just do one example. So I've given you general formulae. I've told you what is the magnitude. I have told you what is the direction. So you just need to substitute B and A and you will get the answer. So let us do one problem at least. So among these two, which one do you fancy? Do I have a coin here? Will I have a card? So I will flip it, and based on what I get, heads is 1, tails is B. So, okay, I get tails. So I will do B. It has a bunch of square roots in it. Okay. So let's do problem 2. Are there some chats? Is somebody saying something important? Let me just quickly check.
They were saying A and B.
Okay, both of them. Okay, I see. I mean, I can do both. As I said, this is all trivial. So, okay, so -3, 4. And remember, in back of your mind, your formula for A and B, right? So let's call this vector V1. So what is magnitude of V1? Simply, remember your general formula, square root A squared plus B squared. This is just Pythagoras theorem. So in this case, your A is what? Speak at home. A is -3. B is, again, speak at home, 4. So that gives you just put these guys in their places. -3 squared plus 4 squared, which is 9, plus 16. And this is 25, which is 5. Okay. I hope everyone got that. Cool. Okay, now the direction. So the reason I picked this is because there is a negative sign. So let's look at that. Now, if I just, take out my calculator and, blindly just put in, okay, tan inverse of, okay, what was the formula? Again, I will recall the formula. Theta was tan inverse B over A. Okay, so if I just, take out my calculator, I'm like, I'm an expert, I'm going to do this. So 4 over minus 3. And I get something. Let me actually see what I get, and you guys can see it as well. Sorry, how do I open a new tab? Okay, so A tan 4 over 3. Actually, minus 4 over minus 3, right? My A was minus 3, remember? Okay, so now I get minus 0.92 radians, or minus 0.93 radians. We will round it to 2 digits. So we get answer minus 0.93 radians. Is this the correct answer? Let us check. Let us check. So the whole logic is, whenever you are calculating angles, I'm pausing, be careful. Everyone who is sleeping, please wake up. Whenever you are calculating angles, please make sure you plot the point on coordinate system or unit circle. You absolutely must do that. Otherwise, you will get your answer wrong. So let me see. So I asked you to plot, right? He's like, okay, this guy is, crazy, like making so much stress. Okay, but let's see what's happening here. So where will minus 3, 4 lie? So minus 3 will be, 3 units here. It's negative, so it will be on negative side, right? Because 0 is here. So it will be minus 3 is here, and then 4 units up. So not to scale, but let us say 4 units here. So my point is here. Now, what is the angle measured anti-clockwise from x-axis? It's this angle. Immediately you see that this is more than 90, right? And what is 90 degrees? 90 degrees is basically 1/4 of a circle, right? So 90 degrees by 360 degrees, that is 1/4 of a circle, times 2 pi radians. That is, so you cancel this, 4. It's basically pi by 2 radians. I mean, at this point, you shouldn't need to do all of this if you became familiar with radians. But I'm just telling you that 90 is pi over 2 radians. And what is pi? Pi is 3.14, right? You divide by 2, 1.57. So this is greater than 1.57. This angle is greater than 1.57. And what did you get with your calculator? Minus 0.93, right? That's not what this angle is. It has to be greater than this number. What is the problem here? Okay, so now we hit the key issue of tan inverse. I hoped I would leave this to the other TAs who are doing labs, but God wants me to do this, so I'll do this. The problem is, here is your unit circle where you define all the angles. The problem is that the calculator will always tell you angles. So if I call my calculator angle theta calc, it will always tell you angles between pi by 2 and minus pi by 2. So it will only tell you angles in this half circle, which are first quadrant and the fourth quadrant. So if you got an angle which is lying here, this will be, let's call it some minus x0, y0, where both x0 and y0 are positive numbers. That means minus x0 will lie on left side of x-axis. So it's lying here. But as I said, since you are doing a ratio of y over x, this ratio will be the same for 2 points. One of them will be minus x0, y0, and the other will be x0 and minus y0. Do you see? If you take the ratio, both the times you will get minus y0 over x0. So the calculator tells you this guy. So where is x0 minus y0? You go x0 here minus y0 here. So it's directly opposite to the point you need. So you need this angle, but you are getting this angle. So to get this angle, what do you need to do? So you need to add pi to it, right? So again, this is all discussed in detail on Piazza. I'm just giving you one example that to get the correct answer, to get the angle from x-axis, what you do is that you add pi to your angle. So, and again, I have also created a trigonometry cheat sheet, which Akshay will upload, the head TA will upload, that contains all of these formulas. So you don't need to worry. But so the whole point of this right now is that be afraid of your calculator. That's the whole point, you know. Be scared of your calculator that it might lead you astray. And how do you get the hope? Look at Piazza, look at the cheat sheet and understand it. And I think you will understand it. It's not a big deal. Or remember those expressions in the cheat sheet, and then you will be fine. But what I just showed you, that your answer, what you got, tan inverse minus 4/3, that was from our, you know, Google told us it's this guy, minus 0.93. So what you do to get the correct answer? Add pi. I just proved you why, but as I said, if you don't get it, don't bother. It will be discussed in lab. It's in the cheat sheets. But add pi, which is 1.57, and wait, add pi is 3.14, sorry. This is pi over 2. So add pi is 3.14. So then when you do minus 0.93 plus 3.14, what do you get? 4 minus 3 is 1. 11 minus 9 is 2. Then 2.21 plus. So now you can see, I plot the vector again, x and y. My vector was minus 3, 4. X was negative, y was positive, so somewhere here. And now you can see it's greater than 1.57. That's what you wanted, right? Because it's more than 90. So now you have got the correct answer. Okay? So this is how you get the angle, by adding pi to your answer if you get a negative answer. And how do you figure out? You always figure out by plotting your vector. So let me just write it down in like really like bold letters, like always plot for theta. So, you know, like if you don't take anything else from this lesson, you know, take this, you know, it looks like Dracula, you know, so be scared, you know, it will bite you, this theta, if you don't plot it. So remember this Dracula, whenever you see this theta, always plot it. Okay, good. So any questions on direction and magnitude? The second part, it's simple. As I said, just remember magnitude of a vector, you know, you just need to plug in A and B. And second part is simple because there is no sign involved. And theta is tan inverse B over A. And for second part, your A will be, let's see, 1 over root 3. So my vector is 1 over root 3 and square root 2 over 3. So my A will be 1 over root 3 and my B will be square root 2 over 3. You just plug these guys in here and you will get correct answer. And in this case, calculator will tell you the right answer because this is, both things are positive. So the angle is somewhere in the first quadrant. And I just told you that calculator gives you correct answer for first quadrant and fourth quadrant. So no problems there. Okay, any questions on direction and magnitude of vectors, please put in chat or raise hands and we can discuss.
There's one question from Anusha.
Okay.
She has her hand raised.
Okay, yeah, you can let her speak maybe, yeah.
Yeah, so my question is actually, when we see graphically, even if we add pi or subtract pi, we arrive at the same answer. But numerically, that is different. So why does that happen?
Okay, so good question. Let me just, okay. So again, Canvas is a separate issue. I don't deal with Canvas. Sometimes Canvas might not take your answers, but let me tell you why you get different answers sometimes. So adding pi in this case is the correct thing to do. You get the right answer. But sometimes what happens, let me tell you about equal angles, right? So let me go back to black. Yeah. So let's say you are here somewhere. Your theta is here, right? And let's call this theta minus pi by 4 because you are measuring anti-clockwise, right? Now the question is sometimes, so as I said, adding pi is the right thing to do because adding pi will give you the right answer. But sometimes, for example, if you just want to express this angle, rather than going anti-clockwise, if you start from here and you go clockwise, then the same angle can be represented as what? So if you guys like do it at your home, or if you have notebooks, try to do it. If this is pi by 4, then this is also pi by 4 because the total is pi by 2, right? And then this much, you know, there are 3 90-degree angles, 1, 2, 3. So this is 3 pi by 2 plus pi by 4. This is 2 and 4 common is 4. 2 2s are 4. 3 2s are 6. Then pi is just pi. So the answer is 7 pi by 4. So what Anindita asked, or I think Anusha asked, so her answer relates to this. So in tan inverse, as I said, they both are not equivalent. In tan, you have to add pi to get the correct answer because, as I said, always plot your theta and then get the correct theta. But however, if you write minus pi by 4, or any angle, let's call any angle theta, the way trigonometry works, or the way a circle works, by the way, in general, you can always add 2 pi, any multiple of 2 pi. So let's call it 2 pi n, where n can be, you know, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, any of these. And all those thetas are valid answers. So theta is theta plus 2 pi n for any angle you report. So I must say radians. So if you are reporting your answer in radian, you can always add 2 pi to it and you will be correct. Again, in Canvas, it will only accept one answer. So, you know, sometimes you might have to add something. By the way, this also works for negative numbers. And why is this true? This is true because a very simple fact. If this is your theta, right, you can go around the circle, which means 2 pi, and then you can do theta. So 2 pi plus theta. Or if you are even crazier, then you start here, you do, sorry, my pen got crazy. So you start, oh God, okay, come on, yeah. So you start here, you do one circle, 2 pi, another circle, 4 pi, and then theta. So if you make these spirals, in India we have a sweet, it's called jalebi. It's a spiral shaped. I think you can look, I think Western culture people can think of cinnamon rolls. So if you keep making these cinnamon rolls, you know, then yeah, I mean, then you just keep adding 2 pi or 4 pi or 6 pi. That doesn't change your answer. So you will be correct in all those. That's why we have different values for same angles. And as you will learn that sometimes we define to avoid chaos, we say that always report your angle from, let's say, 0 to 2 pi. So sometimes people will tell you that only report angles which are 0 to 2 pi. Sometimes people can tell you only report angles which are minus pi to pi. So this also is 2 pi, right? What is the total length of this interval? It starts at minus pi. Somewhere here will be 0. Somewhere here will be pi. So this is also 2 pi. And this is also 2 pi because it starts at 0, pi, and then pi.
Rahul, I'm so sorry. I don't want to rush you, but I want to make sure we're mindful of time.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. So yeah, so that, yeah, sorry. So yeah, one angle can have multiple answers. Okay, that's cool. Anything else in this? What it is in the third quadrant? So again, all these things are discussed in your trigonometry cheat sheet, which should be available. Why don't we use degrees for angles? Keep that question. If we get time, we'll discuss that. But we don't use degrees because, I mean, radians are cooler. I'll tell you why they are cooler if we get time. I don't see any other important questions. I'll keep them in mind about the radian and about the quadrants. And I will, if I get time. I was looking Piazza, can't find it. The cheat sheet, right? I mean, okay, I will, talk to Akshay. He's my friend, and we can, we'll get it delivered to you. Don't worry. But there are answers on Piazza as well. I remember the answer. So after the class, I will post what answer. Okay. Okay, so we are done with vectors, I guess. Or we have the river question. Okay, sorry. Let's do the river question. Again, lot of English, but very little maths, to be honest. So, okay, so a river that flows north to south has two ferry terminals directly across the shore from each other. So they have already drawn the diagram for you, by the way, so you don't need to worry. The river flows at 8 meters per second with respect to the shore. A boat travels across the river along a trajectory which goes directly between the terminals with a net velocity of 15 meters per second. So they have given you everything. Figure 3.1 shows a sketch of this. What is the actual velocity of the boat? Give the magnitude and direction. So this is like problem 1A, which we have already solved. As I said, it's a bunch of English. Maths is very simple, actually. The way you do it is, the way you start any problem is by defining your basis or your coordinate system, X and Y. And in this case, let's call this north, let's call this south. Okay, so then a river flows north to south. So river, as you can see in the diagram itself, it's flowing in this direction, right? North to south. So where is my river flowing? My river is flowing north to south, here, like this. The vector is like this. And then the boat travels across the river, which goes directly between the terminals east to west. So if you guys know your directions, if you wake up early enough to see the sun, it's a good thing. You should see the sun sometimes, you know, don't sleep all the time. So east and west is like this. So it tells you that the boat goes east to west. So this is your boat. This is your river. Now, to get the total velocity, so V total velocity will be what? It's simply sum of the velocity of the river, because you are on the river and then your boat is also traveling. So you will just add these two vectors. Now the whole challenge of this problem is just to write down VR and VB, that's all, right? And I told you that if you know your coordinate system, if you know how to plot things, you can do it. So again, I'll probably let you do it rather than me doing it, but okay, X and Y. Okay, so my boat velocity is somewhere here, right? And my river velocity is somewhere here. All you need to do is find out X and Y coordinates of this guy. I won't do it. I'll give you like 10 seconds and please write these down. I think 10 seconds are over. So let me give you a hint before I tell you the whole answer. If something is on Y axis, what is its X coordinate? This guy, 0. And if something is on X axis here, sorry, so let me reorganize my thoughts. So, okay. So I showed you these arrows, but you want to write down the head of the arrow. The head of the arrow is here. Let me use a different color. The head of the arrow is here and here. So you want to write down coordinates of these points. So coordinate of this point is what? This point is lying on y-axis, which means its x coordinate here is 0. Similarly, this point here, the y coordinate is 0 because it has got no height. So its y coordinate is going to be 0. So I've given you a hint. Now only one number is remaining. Please fill it up. That will be the velocity of your boat, right? Because your like velocity of boat, this guy. Velocity of river, this guy. So do it, and these will just be the numbers. 15 meters per second, so this will be 15. 8 meters per second, so this will be 8. So as I said, I have done nothing. I know the boat velocities, I know the directions. I draw the vectors, and then I just write down their x and y components. Why I do that? Because I want to add them. And how have we learned to add them? Only by using x and y coordinate. Okay, so now what is my VR? VR is 0, 8 plus VB. VB is 15, 0. And then remember, problem 1, if there is a scalar, bring it in and then add. There is no scalar here, so that's fine. So we just do the addition. Top stays on top, bottom stays on bottom. Your net velocity is 15, 8. Oh, by the way, I think a lot of people are pointing out, yeah, I made one mistake. So I hope you guys caught it. This is pointing down, so this will be minus, right? And this is pointing left, so this will also be minus. Because it's left of, if you define your x and y like this, then anything left of origin is going to be negative. So both of them were negative. So let's write down minus, minus. So then if you are adding them, then you are adding 0 plus minus 15. And then this guy will be minus 8. And your final answer will be minus 15 and minus 8. Okay, so that's how you get the final answer. Now just your A is minus 15, your B is minus 8. Now again, just plug in the formula. What was the formula for magnitude? Pythagoras theorem, A squared plus B squared square root. So you do that and you get 15 squared plus 8 squared. I have done this somewhat longer than you, so I know that this is 25, 225, and then this is 64. So again, you use a calculator. Then this is 5 4s are 5 plus 4 is 9, 2 plus 6 is 8. This, and if I'm not wrong, I think this is 17. So right. So you get the magnitude, 17 meters per second. But where is my boat going? I told you, right? Vector quantities give you more information than just number. So this is just one number, 17. You want to know more. Where is your boat going? So to know that, you need to plot your velocity. It was minus 15, minus 8. So I come back to my x and y. Where is this point going to be? So my x coordinate is minus 15. So I go 15 units on negative side. And then y coordinate is minus 8. So I got 8 units on negative side. So my point will be somewhere here. Now, the question asks, what is the angle, the direction, right? Again, you see, again, you get into the problem of, theta and tan theta and calculator and all that, right? So again, just from the formula, just by memorization, theta is tan inverse B over A. What was our B? What was our A? B is minus 8, A is minus 15. That just by looking at vectors. So just plug it in, just blindly for now, plug it in. So it's B is 8, I think. Oh, well, yeah, B is 8, A is 15. This will tell you a number, right? This will tell you a number. Let's see what that number is. So 8 over 15, 0.489. Let's round it off. Let's call it 0.49. Now, again, you are again in that issue. If you plot this point, this is a positive number. And I told you that calculator only tells you about this half, but your angle was somewhere here. So what you need to do, you need to add pi to it. So again, so this is the calculator answer. But since you are not blind and I warned you enough that you have to plot the final vector to get the angle, I can't stress it enough. And you plotted it, you've listened to me, and you know that, well, this is too small a value. This has to be greater than pi. You know that this has to be greater than pi. So calculator is fooling you. But since you are smart, what you will do, 0.49 plus pi, and then this will give you some number. This will be 0.49 plus 3.14. This will be 9 plus 4 is 13. 4 plus 1 is 5, 6, and then 3. So this many radians, okay? Now, as some people already pointed out, that what if I was measuring it anti-clockwise? In that case, just subtract 2 pi from it and you will get another number. So that's to Anushi's question. You can always add 2 pi, you can always subtract 2 pi. Try all the options on Canvas, one of them will work. But this is important that you need to add pi. So this solves problem 3. Any questions in vectors part, because we'll go to complex number. Why do all possible answers have a negative? What? Sorry, I don't get this question. So can you raise hand like people who have questions, and maybe Rachel can let them speak?
Thank you. So, sir, in the question of the board,
Yeah.
like the correct option is C, because we got 17 as our like length.
Yeah.
But there theta is equal to 0.49, which was our initial value without adding pi.
Okay. So that depends where you are reporting the angle from. So if let's say somebody was reporting it from minus x, again, you know, Canvas, please forgive me. I'm just telling you the correct way to do things. Depends on where. So if somebody is saying I'm just measuring my angle from east-west direction, and I don't care whether I'm measuring it from east or west, then you can say that from west, it's only 0.49. Do you see what I'm saying? So you are not measuring it from positive x-axis, you are just measuring it from negative x-axis. What my purpose here to tell you is, you know, how the thing looks. Once you know the correct thing, if somebody tells you, oh, my answer is 0.49, then you quickly realize that, oh, that guy is probably, you know, not adding pi, which means that guy is measuring the angle from this line, not from this line. So that's the difference. But yeah, do whatever Canvas tells you to. Sorry about Canvas, but yeah, okay. Cool.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. I guess I'm sorry about time. Rachel, if you have to leave, I guess I can handle it on my own. I will get to complex
I'm good
numbers
to stay. Yeah, I just want to be mindful of everyone else's. Yeah.
Sure. So I hope like other people don't have arrangements. But as I said, once you understand angles, the rest of it is very easy. Okay. Let's go to complex numbers. Yeah, I spend more time here. So, you know, like you work out in gym, as they say, you know, you sweat in your workout, you bleed, you bled. The more you sweat, the less you bleed in war. So we have sweated in workout, so we'll bleed less in complex number, which is the war. Okay, add complex numbers and multiply complex numbers. Okay, very well, very well. What else? Modulus and conjugate. I think we'll cover it very easily, no problem. Cool. Challenge problem I leave for you guys, or ask on Piazza. But I will cover all the necessary problems, and I guess you will all be able to do it. So let's do problem 4A, or maybe let's pick, I don't know, something funky with the sign, or let's do 3. Okay, so problem 4 we are doing right now. Okay, so all the hard work we did, right? I already told you that we have a lot of different names for same things, you know, same things X and Y are showing up in different names. For our purposes, complex numbers can be represented as vectors. Okay, question is, how do you do that? So to do that, if your number is A plus IB, then you just think of it as a vector AB. Now I don't need to do anything. I already, you know, I did addition of vectors, so you can do addition of complex number. I'm done. No, I'm kidding. I'll do one problem at least. But you see, you know, just a different name for same thing. So it's problem 1 now again, but let's do 1 for your entertainment. So A2, let's do A2. So here, complex number 1 is 2 minus I. Then they ask you to add it to another complex number, minus 2 plus I. Okay, what are my A's and B's here? So here my A is 2. My B is, you all shout at home, that's how you learn, -1. So here my A is -2. B is, you say it, 1. Right? I'm just reading it off. There is nothing special. It's -2 here. So when you write I, that basically means 1i, right? And if you write -i, that's -1i. Okay. Cool. So we have got A and B for both of them. So let's write them as vectors. So 2 -1 plus -2 1. And from the general formula I told you, if there is a scalar, bring it in. There is no scalar, so we don't need to bring anything in. Then do addition or subtraction, whatever is asked. Keep top at top, bottom at bottom. So 2 plus -2, -1 plus 1. So you get 0. So you get a 0 complex number. So cool, right? So that's how you do it. I guess everyone can do part 3, but the only tricky thing here, I mean, it's not really tricky, but let me just quickly do it so that you understand. So here our first complex number is I, and then the second complex number is 3. To be honest, if you just look at it, it looks like 3 plus I, right? But let me just tell you how this works. So if you wanted to treat them as different numbers, what is my A here? A is 0, B is 1. Here, A is 3, B is 0. Because remember, complex number is A plus IB. So there is no real number here, so that's why A is 0. And here there is no IE, so that's why my B is 0. I hope everyone gets that. Once you understand this, then do the same mechanics. 0, 1, because A and B, then 3 and 0. I'm going slightly fast because I hope you can write this A and B. Okay, top on top, bottom on bottom, do whatever is asked. 0 plus 3, 1 plus 0, 3, 1. But now you don't want to leave your answer in just a vector, right? Because somebody is asking you about complex numbers. So what is this number? This number is, again, what is your A? 3. What is your B? 1. So this is a number which is 3 plus 1i or 3 plus I. That's all. Okay, cool. Any questions on addition of complex numbers? Any questions on addition of complex numbers, please? Can I see chats? I kind of feel bad for moderators that you guys have to stick around. Once I get good at it, I guess, yeah, okay, I can see chats now. How do you get value of theta for number 4? What number 4? I don't get. Can we just use the formula for adding? The vector formula, yes. But again, I mean, to be honest, once you get enough familiar practice, you don't need to use the formula. I mean, it's just like adding real parts, adding imaginary parts. Okay, I'm not getting any other questions. So, okay, fine. I'll move on from addition. The basic part here, let me again just summarize quickly. If you have two numbers, A1 plus IB1 plus, A2 plus IB2, what you do is A1 plus A2, just keep the real part separate and the imaginary part separate, and you are done. If you look at your vector thing, it's the same thing. Just keep, like, don't, as people say sometimes, you haven't made like rolls, but if you are deep frying something, you keep one hand separate, second hand separate. But anyways, bad reference, forget about it. But yeah, just keep your things separate, you will be fine in addition and subtraction. As I said, I won't be doing challenging problems. So some people are asking about last question. I mean, the goal of this session is to make everyone comfortable with the basics. If you have the challenge question, please post on Piazza. There are already some. Okay, next one. Multiply the following complex numbers. So multiplication. I think in lecture you have been told a formula. So we are now on problem 4b. Just to get everyone on page. My approach is slightly different, and I think it's slightly simpler. But so the only thing I use is I squared is -1. And I guess all of you know that definition. So once we have that, then let's do number 2. So 2 minus 7i times 3 minus 2i. Now, I think what happened in lectures is that you had some formula, AC minus BT plus I times something. What I do is what I learned in my middle school, where I learned to multiply these two expressions, right? Like x plus y times a plus b. How would you do that? You do x times a plus b plus y times a plus b. That looks like xa plus xb plus ya plus yb. Takes slightly longer time, but saves space in your brain that you don't have to remember an extra expression. So if you can do this, you can very similarly do that. So let's do it. Same principle, middle school algebra, nothing more than that. So 2 times 3 minus 2i. Just keep your i's separate. That's the only thing. And then minus 7i, 3 minus 2i. And then let's just multiply simply. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times minus 2i is minus 4i. Do it with me. Just don't watch me, like if you have notebook at home. Minus 7i times 3 is minus 21i. Then minus minus becomes plus. 7 times 2 is 14. Now the key part. I times I is I squared. So I squared. Okay. Then you just write it down. So 6. Then minus 4i and minus 21i. You can add them, right? They both have I on them. So you can add them. And so minus 4 and minus 21 is minus 25i. Now, what is I squared? I squared is just minus 1. So we'll replace I squared by minus 1. And this becomes minus 14. So then 6 minus 14 is minus 8, not minus 18. And then minus 25i. So that's your answer. So again, I use nothing. I use middle school algebra of how to multiply things. I just keep my i's separate from real things. And you just use I squared minus 1, which is the definition. You do that, you get the right answer. Any questions about multiplication of complex numbers, please? Okay, I'll look at the chats. I squared is 1. No, I squared is minus 1. Sorry, Anusha. I squared is minus 1. Can we do modulo with complex number? We are going to it. Okay, I don't see any other questions. I'll wait for 5 seconds maybe. Any questions or multiplication of complex numbers? Nothing? Good. Let me just check again. I think I missed something. It's just that the top bar, if you are seeing what's happening to me, is I squared is minus 1. Okay. Good. Everyone can multiply now. Everyone is expert in addition and multiplication of complex numbers. Extremely, yeah, very nice, very good. Okay, this is done. Okay, now we finally go to the part which a lot of people were asking on Piazza, and a lot of people are asking here. What is modulus and conjugate of a complex number? Again, lot of English and lot of words, but it's very simple. Once you know how to plot something, it's nothing more than your elementary school Pythagoras theorem. Let's see how. Let's understand it. And again, I say this is simple, but that's not to intimidate you. As I said, if you start a new thing, you will feel challenging. My purpose of saying it is simple is that to make you comfortable. Okay, so complex number z, which is a plus ib, I just told you it can be written as a vector a and b in xy coordinates. So x and y, now we call them real and imaginary. So we call them real and we call it imaginary. So real part is this guy without I. The I part is imaginary. So you go A units in x-axis, which is real part, V units in imaginary. This is your number. This is your number. This is your number Z equals A plus IB. Now, same concept. What is modulus? And I told you it's Greek for, modulus, length, norm. I won't write all the things, but you get the idea, right? So recall your friend Pythagoras and tell me what's the length. Like this is a right angle triangle. If you know the two sides, can you tell me the hypotenuse? I guess your younger brothers and sisters can tell that as well, you know. So that's a squared plus b squared, simply. Again, don't go into too much confusion. Just remember this formula. It will do everything for you. So, okay. And then the conjugate. So conjugate is a new concept, I admit, but that's something very simple. So let's define conjugates. This is modulus. Write it down if you have something. And then if my z is a plus ib, then my conjugate is simply defined as a minus ib. Again, why this is required, why this is important, this will come, you know, later. We have some answers on Piazza and all that, but for now, to do homework, to be familiar with it, just remember that you flip the sign of imaginary part. So I'll just write it in English, flip sign of imaginary part. Okay, that's it. I mean, you know, that's nothing to do. So let's do some of them, right? I mean, it will take probably a couple of minutes. I'm sorry, Rachel, by the way. I know you are busy.
Rahul, you know I'm learning this too.
Okay.
I'm still taking notes.
But as I said, like if you want to leave, I can handle the session. And I'm sorry to anyone who is going slightly over time. But I think this is probably, after this, there is one more and then we'll be done. So what is the complex conjugate of following numbers? So again, after I told you the formula, I guess, you know, you guys can all tell me the answer. So, okay, so let's do, I'll just write something random on my own. What is complex conjugate of 3? So my z is 3. What is complex conjugate of 3? You guys all do at home. What is a here? 3. What is b here? 0. So z bar, we know that it's a minus ib, but since my b is 0, it will just be a. So it will just be 3. So you have discovered something here. If something is equal to its conjugate, you just call this thing purely real. That's an important thing, you know. It has a lot of physics connotations, which I wonder if I should throw, but let me not do that. But this is an important, like you discovered something super important here by, you know, this conjugate. Let me just say it. Okay, but anyways, let's do some something which is given in your homework sheet. So it's let's take -4 minus 2i simply. So your z is -4 minus 2i. So your a is -4. B is, again, shout at home, -2. So then what is your z bar? Again, you don't need to do anything, just, you know, blankly recall the definition, a minus ib. So this is, a is -4, then minus I, b is -2. So this is -4 plus 2i. And you didn't need to do this. As I said, all you need to do, just flip the imaginary part. Oh, it's minus, I just make it plus. It's a game, you know, I mean, as a kid, you know, like we like doing like flipping things. So like a plus b, so you do, you know, a minus b. So it's just simple matter of flipping, not a big deal. Conjugate. Okay, cool. Conjugate is done. I will ask questions for both, so don't worry. I'll come back to you guys. Modulus. So modulus again. Modulus, let's do 5 minus 12i. So modulus I already defined for you. I'm recalling it again, a squared plus b squared. Now, if somebody gave you the number 5 minus 12i, then what is your a? 5. What is your b? -12. So then modulus, again, modulus, size, length, norm, everything is the same. So now a squared plus b squared, 25 plus 144, it's 169. And you know, these numbers you just remember because, you know, you do so much of them through your life that, you know, but anyways, you put them in calculator and you will get 13. Cool. So any questions about modulus and conjugate now, please? Let me check the chats. Or you can speak if you want to speak. Right. Are modulus and magnitude the same thing? Yes. I'll wait for 10 seconds, then we do the final one, and then we'll be done. If you hang out, then I'll tell you a secret about why I is my square root minus 1 and why we defined imaginary numbers in the first place. What can we do with them? That will take like 5 minutes, not more. Can you do question 21? Okay, let's see what is question 20. But I mean, again, let's go sequentially. If we get time, then we'll do it. First, I want to make sure everyone gets their homework done. Okay, so this is done. So problem 6, polar form of complex numbers. Again, here all the fighting we did in our vectors will help us. By the way, where is problem 21? Somebody asked me problem 21. There is no 21 here, right? Like there is no 21. I guess you meant the additional problem set in your homework. I can check that later, but let's do polar form. Okay, polar form, I got a lot of questions. Let's get something straight out of the way. So again, new names for the concepts you already know. So recall that you learned that you can represent a point xy, right? You can represent a point xy in polar coordinates as well. And when you represent something in polar coordinate, remember how you used to write it? You used to write it r and theta. And the formula, again, call your trusted friend Pythagoras. If this is xy, this is x, this is y, then r, as your younger brothers and sisters from elementary school will tell you, r is square root x squared plus y squared. And then what is theta? For now, let's just stick to calculated definition. I already spent a lot of time telling you to be scared of this Dracula and how to deal with it. And it will be done in your lab. It's in the cheat sheet. So let's just take it for now. That's all. Yeah. So you already learned this. That's all you need. You need nothing else. Okay. That's all you need. Okay. Then let me go into a little bit of detail on how do you write complex numbers. So when we talk of complex numbers, right? Let me just write complex plane because, so as I said, it's just an avatar of the same thing. It's real, imaginary. Let's say your number is x plus iy. This can be any number, right? So let's just represent this number, x plus iy. And I showed you how to represent it. It's the same thing. Now, another thing we discussed in the lectures, by the way, for coordinates is that x is r cosine theta, y is r sine theta. So if you go to trigonometrical review, if you go to lab 1, we discussed this thing as well, that in polar coordinates, x coordinate is cosine theta, y coordinate is sine theta for a unit circle. And if you have any number, then r cosine theta, r sine theta. Okay. So how can we write this guy now? So we just write x as r cosine theta plus this guy I r sine theta. So we just simply used what we learned from polar coordinates, nothing special. We just use r and theta. What this tells us that this is now r and then cosine theta plus I times sine theta, right? Now, this is where a lot of people ask a lot of questions and they get confused. We just write this as e to the I theta. And my friends, as I said, if I had time, I can explain you how this exactly works. But for now, just take it as a definition. Just think of it as a notation. Like I write RS for Rahul Sharma, which is my name, you know. Yeah, just think of it as meaning this. There is nothing else you need to do. And also just remember that this works like any power. By power, I mean, we will get to it in examples, but I'm just saying, just take it as a definition. If you want to know why, there is a video on Piazza. It's called Fantastic Math Review, and it has a series of lectures. You go to the complex number lecture, you will learn why this is this. It's nothing super complicated, but it will take time to explain. Doesn't matter in this course. You just take e to the I theta to be cos theta plus I sine theta. So I just showed you, what I showed you is that x plus iy can be written as this guy. So this is called a polar form for obvious reasons, right? because we use formula from polar units. So let's do some of these problems now. And what you will need just this guy and this guy. You will need nothing else. Okay, let's do some problems. Let's pick the most challenging one, which apparently, I don't know, I don't find many. So let's do problem 6, number 3. Problem 6A, number 2 and number 3, let's say. So problem 6A, number 2, that is 1 minus I. So what is my x here? All of you say at home, 1. Or what is my y here? Minus 1. Or if you are more familiar with A and B, A is 1, B is minus 1. Don't blame me for switching the coordinates, but as I said, it's easier to remember x, y to r cos theta and r sin theta. That's why I used x and y here rather than A and B, but it's the same thing, you know? Cool. Okay, once you got that, then you need r. I already told you. Again, sometimes it's just easy to plug the formula. Don't think too much. Don't complicate your life. So this is x squared plus y squared. This is square root 2. This is just to recall, the formula was what? X squared plus y squared. Pythagoras theorem, nothing else. And then my theta, tan inverse y over x. So this will be tan inverse minus 1 over 1. This will be tan inverse minus 1. And I know for a fact that this will be minus pi by 4. If you don't know it, plug it in calculator, you will get the right answer. And if we quickly plot it, I told you, right, be afraid of this Dracula, theta. So you plot it. So 1 is positive side. So x is 1, so 1 unit here. Y is minus 1, so 1 unit down. So my point is somewhere here. So then it's fine. I told you, right, calculator gives you the right answer on this half. So you are here, so you are, you are fortunate, you are safe. You are safe. Dracula won't bite you. So minus pi over 4. Cool, that's your answer. Again, as Anusha said, if somebody wants positive number, you just go and add 2 pi to it. So you will get, I think, 7 pi over 4. So both of these are correct answers. So cool, right? And then how do you write polar form? Polar form. So you got r, you got theta. So it's r e to the I theta. So 1 minus I, you will say, what is your r? Square root 2. And then what is your theta? It's either minus pi over 4, or you can also write. Both of them are correct. Okay? Nothing else, just plugging into expressions. I will do number 4 as well, just to show you a special case. So here we have a purely imaginary number, just 5i. So 5i. So what is your x here? X is 0. What is your y here? Y is 5, right? So what is your modulus? You can read it off as well, but I'll tell you about that later. So your modulus is r square root of 0 squared plus 5 squared, which is 5. See, when a number is purely imaginary, if you just plotted it quickly, this is your real part. This is your imaginary part. I have no x, so I go nowhere in real part. My y is 5, so I plot it here. You can immediately see what is the length of this guy. This length is just 5, right? So you just say 5 without even, doing any squaring. And what is your theta? Again, from formula, it's tan inverse y by x, tan inverse 5 by 0. This guy is infinity. So, and like tan inverse infinity, again, that will be in your cheat sheet, but this is 90 degree. But again, you didn't even need to do that if you just looked at your number. If your number is here, then your angle is 90 degree. As a homework problem, please find the polar representation of this guy. By the way, I just found r and theta, but let me, arrange it nicely so that you get it. So 5i can be written as 5 times e to the I 90 degree, which is pi by 2. So pi by 2. Okay, cool. So we have tackled polar form as well. Very quickly, what is the complex conjugate of complex numbers? So again, if we have a number, I will take all the questions after this. So if I have something like this, right, complex number, you know that this means what? This means r cos theta plus I r sin theta. I just told you what is z bar. Remember, flip the sign, flip imaginary sign, flip imaginary. I'll just write image, flip image, right? So what do you get? R cos theta minus IR sin theta. Now, what if you wrote like this? Again, there is identity I'm using, which if you did trigonometric review, you will remember, but I'm just giving it to you that cos of minus theta is cos theta, sine of minus theta is minus sine theta. So r cos theta plus, sorry, cos of minus theta, IR sine of minus theta. So so now you have written it again as a complex number in polar form, which is r e to the I but minus theta, which is r e to the minus I theta. Again, this was just a derivation, but if I give you a number r e to the I theta, this is z. And if I ask you what is z bar, then you just flip this guy. So you just need to make it minus. Once you change the sign, then you get the answer. So what is the interest? So yeah, so for part 1, or let's do part 2, right? So part 2, again, these are simple, but just for sake of completion, 6b2 is 5 e to the minus I pi over 6. So I told you, right? Just flip this guy. So your answer, so if this is your z, then complex conjugate, just flip this guy, e to the I pi over 6. That's your answer. That's the conjugate. And we derived it as well. So you understand how this works. So cool. Okay, so then last part, and the last for the whole session, if we ignore the challenge things. So what is the modulus of the following complex numbers? So modulus, very simple. We just started with the whole idea of modulus, right? Let me just remind you. We had real, we had imaginary, and if we had a number here, a plus ib, what did we call modulus? This guy, the length, right? The r. And we already, so if somebody already gives you r e to the I theta, you already know the modulus, right? There is no need to ask. Modulus is going to be just r. So just read it off. So for example, let's take second one, C2. C2 is 7 times e to the, I pi over 2. They're trying to scare you by giving you, more ease that, oh, be scared. What about this e? What about this e? But it doesn't matter. I can write, any number of e to the I, whatever, 3 pi over 4. I can write infinite number of e's. But if somebody comes to me and asks me, hey, what's the modulus of this guy? I just look at my r and I tell him 7. So that's modulus. Any questions about polar forms, please? We are done with the review session. If you give me 5 minutes, I can tell you interesting story about why complex numbers were invented and why I is square root -1. We'll be done by 5:30. But any questions about polar forms, please? Can you scroll back up to 6b2 for a second? I will do that. Anything else? He's doing mandatory 1. Questions are numbered differently. I think doing the optional homework. See, I don't have time. Like I can sit down and do everything, but 21 is the last question.
It was just confusion over the way that the students received it was numbered slightly differently, but I think you covered it.
Okay, I don't see too many questions about. Okay. Sorry, maybe there are questions.
They're excited to know the story.
I will tell it, but anyway, so somebody wanted to go to 6b2, so I'm at 6b2. So what you do, any number re to the I theta, what is conjugate? Just flip the sign of I here, sign of theta here. If it's minus pi over 6, it becomes plus pi over 6. And if it was plus pi over 6, then the complex conjugate is minus pi over 6. By the way, I mean, I didn't tell you, but if you take, I mean, I think it was obvious that if you take 2 times conjugate, then you get the number itself, right? That's also a property. Right.